But at least here's a way, I guess. Oh man, if this happens, we are all in trouble. That June can continue to get worse and worse, and 2020 continue to go in a downward trend. And that is a story that was put out yesterday. For those of you sports fans, Buster Olney of ESPN, a respected, great MLB insider, wrote an article yesterday, wrote a column, I should say, yesterday. And in it, he included a piece that said his sources are telling him that there's a group of owners that are perfectly willing to not play in 2020. They want to slash the payroll costs, reduce overall costs. And as we've seen, we've already seen that in tons of different areas already. We've seen so many of these organizations have different money tactics in order to save, whether it's furloughing employees. Some teams are suspending 401k contributions. And now in the case of an organization like the Oakland Athletics, stop paying their minor league players. So, everyone in the minor league system, obviously there's no season going on, and there seems to not be a season. If MLB is going to resume, it's only going to be baseball professionally. There's going to be no minor leagues this season is what it's trending towards, but teams are still paying their minor leaguers $400 stipends a week. And you have teams and organizations like the Oakland Athletics who basically stopped and said, we're not paying anyone. Not reducing the pay, not, stopping at the end of the month. We are stopping pay June 1st. You are getting no money for the rest of the year. And so the question is, do owners actually want to see baseball in 2020? They're going to operate at a loss. It seems like for the most part, no matter what financial agreement happens. So would it make sense for them to just cut their losses, basically flush 2020 down the toilet, and let's get ready for 2021? And this would be catastrophic. I can't even emphasize that enough, how big of a disaster, how much of a mistake this would be if owners actually think it's a good idea to punt on 2020, to basically cancel the 2020 season and come back in 2021 because of financial reasons. A few reasons. One, listen on Thursday's show, right, we talked about why it's important to back the players in this financial agreement, and basically outlined a few reasons why, in the long run, owners will be able to make up the lost revenue for this year in future years. And that's because currently right now, going back to 2019, there's been 17 straight seasons where revenue in baseball has increased. Back in, last year was the latest example. MLB raked in $10.7 billion in gross revenue. So now, obviously, no matter what's going to happen in 2020, that revenue is going to decrease. And it's going to be the first time in 17 years that revenue doesn't continue to increase on top of each other. But guess what? Forget just 2020. Look at the long term. Look at 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. If you don't play baseball in 2020 because of finances only, because owners don't want to operate at a loss, or owners don't want to pay prorate the salaries of the players, and thus basically have a stalemate, have a freeze, and don't sign a contract, you can kiss all of those increased revenues in future years goodbye. Think about just this, right? So a shortened season, at least you're getting some sort of revenue, right? You're still getting some sort of TV revenue. And advertisers, they can still advertise, whether it's advertisers in the stadium but you can see on TV. You always have that view from, behind the pitcher's mound. You see there's always some sort of logos or advertisements at the backstop. You can still have those. You can still do different ways to still bring advertisers and have them be seen on television, but obviously they only would be seen at the stadium. But if you don't play any games, you're getting no TV money. You're getting no money from advertisers. Not only are you getting no money in 2020, you're going to have to refund these advertising companies. You're going to have to refund or basically waive 2020 and have that money carry over to 2021. You're going to really put yourself not only in the gutter this year, but in future years as well, because now you're making up for money that was already going to be lost, but now even more lost if they don't play in 2020 because of finances. And another major issue, this is tied back to growing revenues, is that right now, again, I've said this, and I apologize for beating a dead horse, but it's important to recognize this. The future growth of the game of baseball would all basically be killed if baseball doesn't resume in 2020 because of finances. Think about it. The generations MLB is going after currently, the younger generations, the millennials, the Gen X, right? They are the ones that those are the generations MLB wants, because they're young, and you think once you get them at a young age, they'll be fans for life. Happened with me. I'm sure it happened with you. If you're a baseball fan, happened with your parents. That's how, that's what these leagues, the reason why the leagues are always going younger is because you get those, younger kids, get them as fans early, they'll be fans for life. Well, MLB is struggling with drawing young fans, and that's why you've seen different ways to speed up the game, because whether it's Rob Manfred or the owners, they believe that having a quicker game is what will actually lead fans to watching more games. That's why you see new pace of play rules, and you see all these new rules designated to basically make the game as quick as possible. Because in their mind, the best way to draw young fans in a very crowded marketplace where you have all these different distractions, TV shows, streaming networks, sports leagues, that it's tough to get the attention of younger fans and keep their attention for a long time. But just think, if MLB was to resume and even operate at a loss this year, they would have, even if the NBA and NHL resume, they would have a full month to themselves. Because right now you hear the negotiations with the other two leagues that stopped during, obviously stopped during the season. Their goal is to start it in August, late July, early August, for the NBA and both the NHL as well. Well, MLB is still shooting for July 4th. You have a full month right now that you can capture and basically have the entire sporting landscape focused on you. People are desperate for a distraction. People are desperate to have some sort of live sports to cling to watch at night, because watching the news is extremely depressing. There needs to be some sort of outlet now, especially all of us home every day. There's no escape. Every day feels like the same. To have a game to look forward to have a season to look forward to, you are going to get a lot more fans than you normally would in a regular year. And not to mention, too, you have access to fan bases you never had access to before. Think about, again, I just hit on all the distractions that are already out there. Really now we're starting to get to where there is, a content vacuum. There's just not a lot out there anymore. Baseball has a chance right now with a shortened season, with a full month to themselves before, the games even get more increased and the playoffs kick in, where they can access and reach audiences they never have, which means going forward, you can get fans. If you have a young kid who's, bored out of his mind, shocker, you can get him into baseball and have him excited to watch a game every night. You can make a fan for life. You can have that guy watch baseball the rest of this year and then look forward to when the 2021 season comes, and vice versa after that. You have a great chance to grow your game easily just by playing without doing anything crazy, without changing the rules. You can grow your game just by playing and have it reach exponential levels that you've never really been able to get before, and that you in an area you struggle with. So this is, for future financial sakes, so important that the owners stop looking at, dollars and cents, stop fretting about what a one-year loss is going to do to them, because they have a great opportunity to get so much money more down the road to grow the game and increase the revenues massively as their ownership continues down the years and as the game of baseball continues to grow. And also just think, right now, if baseball can't resume in a pandemic, the world is divided, where we need distractions and we're looking to, again, have something to give us hope. Think about how bad, if we go back to 1994, how much that the strike between the players and the owners about finances, how much that alienated fans. Think about it. 1994 was a normal year, right? Let's just pretend 1994 is 2019. Financially, we were okay. There's, again, the world was pretty much, an average place. People were so upset that baseball stopped playing in August, didn't get it together, missed the World Series, and didn't come back till, close to 1995. It took 12 years for fans to come back and for attendance levels to reach the same numbers that it did pre-strike. So just when everything is normal, when people have plenty of distractions, you can go to the beach, you can go out, go shopping, go to work. Back in 1994, before obviously it wasn't pandemic. It wasn't everything that's going on right now. People were that upset that it took a very long time for those fans who did come back to come back. And a lot of the fans did not come back. I could only imagine the damage that's going to be done if MLB shuts their doors with the pandemic going on, with the world as divided as it is, with nothing to do, with people still stuck in their houses. I mean, talk about alienating fans. I would be very afraid that those people who are looking to the sport of baseball or looking to professional sports to resume, to give them some sort of distraction, if it doesn't come back, forget it. Baseball's in the tank. It's going to only go down, and I honestly don't see a way, not to be hyperbolic, not to, be an alarmist. If baseball doesn't come back in 2020 because of finances and finances only, you can kiss the sport of baseball goodbye. And I'm not saying that the league's going to fold. It's not going to fold. Baseball will be around. But it's going to be one of those sports, one of those things where, if you're an average fan, you have to be desperate for anything different to watch a baseball game. And even then, you might not be able to come back because that's how much I think it would alienate people, would get people upset that people are being selfish, players being selfish, owners being selfish, millionaires fighting billionaires. And that because they couldn't, come together on some sort of insane agreement with unemployment the way it is, with people dying the way they are because of the virus and other reasons, that they couldn't put that aside and come to a deal and basically sacrifice the way everyone else has been sacrificing during this pandemic. I don't see how baseball comes back to anywhere close to the levels that they were in 2019. And that even still, those numbers in 2019 are struggling because their age demographic of the fans are very high. They can't capture the young audience. And guess what? If you don't do that, you're not growing the game. You're not getting future fans. And baseball will only kill itself if they don't resume in 2020. So that's why, to me, even if these owners are operating at a loss, even if they're bleeding money this year, it only makes financial sense to play the 2020 season because the revenues will only increase. You'll get increased attention. You'll be able to grow your game more than you ever would in a normal year. And if you don't resume because of finances, it's going to be catastrophic. Absolutely catastrophic. The game, I'm sorry, it's not coming back. It sort of came back after 1994. You had the home run chase between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. That did get a lot of fans back, did get some intrigue back, get some national attention back. But you look right now, the NFL full steam ahead. The NBA constantly growing, and they have really done a great job in capturing that young audience. Those leagues are only going to continue to explode. MLB is not only going to be left back, they're going to regress on that scale. So that's why, to me, it's so important that baseball, despite the finances, despite the owners losing money, it's so important that they resume and they play baseball in 2020 because the game will be in big, big, big trouble if they can't resume.